Hello, everyone. Welcome into Southeastern 14. I am Blayne Gilmer, and we are here to talk about Tennessee football. The three biggest questions that we have for the Volunteers as they head into the offseason. Yes, they've got a bowl game to play and all that kind of stuff. The transfer portal is going right now, but as we record this on December 13th, the morning of December 13th, there are some questions out there that we need to examine about the Volunteers. We're going into year 4 of Josh Heupel in Rocky Top. He's brought Tennessee back to relevancy there where the expectations were very, very high after a year where they came just so close in 2022. They were the number 1 team in the country for a brief period, and it came very, very close to getting into that college football playoff. It haven't been for maybe some bad luck there, some injuries, some things like that, and then also just a rough end to the season, but had a big victory over Clemson in the bowl game. Joe Milton comes in. Everybody thinks, oh, well, this offense isn't going to skip a beat. And then Joe Milton and that offense weren't exactly what the offense looked like in 2022. In the 2023 season, there were some key injuries in this past season as well for Tennessee, and they take just a slight step backwards. Now, we're going to see what the biggest questions are for this Tennessee team going forward into 2024. But one thing you guys don't need to ask questions about is how you can get a deposit bonus with Bet Online, because guys, we have a deal. All of the major sports are in action this week with the college football playoffs getting ready to kick off here soon. Bet Online is your number 1 destination for all your sports wagering info, including news for pro football, the NBA, upcoming fights, and the NHL this season. Head over to the website today. That's betonline.ag to get into the action and see all of the updated odds for the week. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's all caps, BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. And guys, where we're going to start with Tennessee is where everything is going to start this year. Does Nico Iamaleava play up to expectations? Yes, I did much better pronouncing that last name this time. Nico Iamaleava, does he live up to the expectations? No doubt the talent is there. Tall, just strong-armed player out of California that, you know, everybody was kind of clamoring for at the end of the season. I predicted it. I predicted at the beginning of 2023. I thought Tennessee would take a step back in the win-loss record. I thought by the end of the year, people would be clamoring to see Nico because Joe Milton's just not a accurate quarterback. He's not a quarterback that can do certain things that you need to do to win football games. Nico Iamaleava, he may have those nuances, those little small things that need to be done. But he's going to need to play at a high level, and he's going to have to do it kind of learning on the fly. Yes, he came in there, and he's had a year of experience. He's been able to play in some games, but when it comes down to it, there's nothing like getting the experience like you saw it with Carson Beck at Georgia this year. He'd been in the system for 4 years at Georgia. This was his 4th year in the system. Still had to go on the road to Auburn and get those road jitters out of the way. Still said against UT Martin early in the year, he was about to throw up because it was his first start since he had been in high school. So, guys, there are jitters that are going to have to get out of the way, and it's just things that you have to go through as a starter. He's going to have to be in a tight game in the 4th quarter and see how he responds. He's going to have to be on the road, and he's going to have to go out there and you know, handle adversity with a crowd and things of that nature. But this young man is as talented as they come, and I think when it comes down to it, what he's able to do, how he's able to have his mobility, escape the pocket, things of that nature, that's going to be a benefit for him. But the thing about it with this Tennessee offense is that Joe Milton couldn't consistently hit the intermediate throws and couldn't layer in between levels and things of that nature. It was all of a fastball. I had to, take it down the field a ton. He'd overthrow things. He would overthrow people on short passes, wouldn't take the check down at certain times. So can Nico Iamaleava, can he do those type of things? Can Nico recognize, hey, here's a blitz and I need to replace it real quick? Can he just take the gimme throws that Josh Heupel will provide for him in this offense? Because if there's one thing about it, Josh Heupel is going to design plays that are wide open because he uses all 53 and a third when it comes to the width of the field, and he's able to use those stack formations to put defenders in binds, make you decide, are you going to commit certain numbers to the box? Or are you going to have advantages over the top of stack sets, of bunch sets, of things like that? So Josh Heupel is going to help this young man out when it comes to playing the quarterback position. He's gonna simplify things in terms of reads, but I think Nico Iamaleava is a guy that will be able to handle this offense in terms of processing it, much like Hendon Hooker did. I think Hendon Hooker understood what Josh Heupel is trying to accomplish, and I think you'll see a lot of that out of Nico as well. Now, early on, a couple of games that you need to look at just to see, okay, how does he grow up and how quickly? Because, hey, it's one thing to be there, be in the program, understand the system, things of that nature, but it's another thing to be the guy and also to be in key moments. And he's going to have to face a very good NC State team that just continually seems to be putting out 10-win seasons over there in Raleigh. He's going to have to face them in Charlotte in a neutral site game on September 7th, their second game of the year. And then 2 games after that, going on the road to Oklahoma in a new SEC matchup between the Vols and the Sooners. So I'm excited to see what happens there early on. Can Nico live up to expectations? They're going to expect a lot out of him, but also they're going to help him. They're going to help him formationally. They're going to help him with that tempo. If he can just come in and make the gimme throws, the easy access throws, then his talent is going to take over, and he's going to be able to make some of those more nuanced throws in the intermediate game. I'm not worried about him being kind of like Bazooka Joe was and not having the ability to throw the changeup, so to speak. I think he'll be able to do that. It's just realizing on situational stuff and learning as a first-time starter. So Nico Iamaleava, does he live up to expectations? That is question number 1 for this Tennessee team in the offseason. Question number 2, can the Vols add quality depth at key spots? Listen, with Gerald Mincey coming back and John Campbell coming back at tackles, that is huge for Tennessee, but they still need to add some depth along that offensive line. It is a war of attrition, and they're going to need to add some depth. Now, they'll be doing that, I'm sure, through the high school ranks, but it's always tough playing freshmen on the offensive line if something happens with an injury and things of that nature. So we'll see who they're able to go after. Remington Strickland is a name out there that Tennessee has offered out of Texas A&M. So we'll see if he is a guy that ends up coming on board. But they definitely need to add some depth along the offensive line. Jalen Farmer is a guy for Florida that is in the transfer portal that Tennessee has interest in. So we'll see what happens there along the offensive line. I would definitely think a couple additions are needed to be added there. Tight end, guys, they're losing a bunch of production. You look at the last 2 years at tight end for Tennessee. It was Princeton Fant and Jacob Bourne that combined in 2022 for 34 catches, 404 yards, 11.88 yards per reception. This year, it was McClellan Castles and then also Jacob Warren that combined for 36 catches, 447 yards, 12.4 yards per reception. So the tight end position has been sneakily important there under Josh Heupel, and I think they want to get more and more involved. Now, Ethan Davis is going to be back, but who do they add? And they're looking at a couple of guys. Jordan Dingle, a Kentucky experienced tight end that is in the transfer portal. They're interested in him. Holden Stays visited, got a visit to Tennessee. He's a guy that was a former very highly coveted recruit out of the state of Georgia. Went to Notre Dame, so they'll be looking hard at him as well. And then, of course, adding guys on the outside at receiver is always needed. Chris Brazzell is a guy from Tulane that has 44 passes caught this year, 711 yards and 5 touchdowns for Tulane, a highly successful program these last 2 seasons. So he's a guy that Tennessee's taking a look at there. But when it comes down to it, you just need to make sure that you put the pieces, the depth around Nico Iamaleava to help him out even more and make things even easier on him. So some key depth needs to be added there. There's some guys they're looking at in the transfer portal, and there's plenty more that are going to be coming as we record this December 13th. Like I said, we're still not even halfway through the portal period, so I'm sure there'll be more guys jump in. I'm sure there'll be more guys targeted by Tennessee. Plus, they are bringing in quite the class when it comes to the recruiting class. Listen, they've got guys like Mike Matthews, who's going to step in, a 5-star. He should probably be able to play right away for Tennessee offensively and be a good weapon for Nico Iamaleava there. So Mike Matthews is definitely a guy that you need to look out for. Now, the third question is, how does Tennessee improve its pass defense? It's been rough, guys. In 2021, Tennessee was dead last in the SEC, 14th in pass defense. In 2022, improved a little bit. They were 12th in pass defense, giving up almost 290 yards passing per game. This year, not that much better, a little bit better in terms of the yards per game, but they were 10th in the SEC in pass defense, guys, and they gave up almost 240 yards passing per game. And there's been a mass exodus in the defensive backfield through the transfer portal for Tennessee. Guys who had experience like Warren Burrell and Danico Slaughter both hit the portal. Warren Burrell going to Georgia Tech. Danico Slaughter hasn't announced where he's going, but he is in the portal. Jack Luttrell, they should have never taken him at Tennessee, by the way. That was an awful pickup in recruitment. He probably got asked to leave. Jack Luttrell out of the portal. He's gone. Brandon Turnage, he's bounced around from Alabama to Tennessee, and now he's out again. Not a guy he was just kind of a guy. He wasn't a dynamic playmaker anyways. Deshaun Rucker appeared in 24 games for Tennessee over the last 3 seasons. He's out. Tamarian McDonald, he played the star position. He's out. Probably one of the more productive guys in 4 seasons where Tennessee had 115 tackles, 8.5 tackles for a loss, 1 sack, 4 interceptions. And this year, he's a guy that had two interceptions in 13 games in 2022. He had a career high 55 tackles over 2 years ago. So who knows? We'll see what happens there. But 6 guys leave the portal. They're losing 2 guys out of that secondary to lack of eligibility remaining. Kamal Haddon, of course, is gone. Jalen McCullough is gone. So who are they going to have? They could possibly get Gabe Jeudy-Lally back. That's going to be interesting to see. And then Wesley Walker is a walk-on that has been there. He's played in a limited role. He could provide some reps. Who knows? But they really need to retool on the back end of that defense. So they're doing that through the high school ranks, guys. In terms of commitments, they have Boo Carter and Caleb Beasley, who are very, very highly coveted recruits, 4-star guys that are going to come in. They could play a role right away. Marcus Gorey and Edries Farouk are 2 guys that are coming in through high school as well. Don't know that you'll see them playing right away as much, but they need to go out in the transfer portal and address this. They've got some guys coming back. Christian Charles is a guy who's versatile. He's played a good bit, but he's also been injured a good bit. Ricky Gibson is a guy they're excited about, played mostly special teams, but he did play a good amount of corner at different times in select games. And then maybe a guy who, ends up being more experienced is John Slaughter. John Slaughter appeared in every game for Tennessee, playing on special teams mostly. But guys, they need to find pieces, whether it's through the portal or whether it's hitting on those guys in high school and manufacturing some depth, and also just getting better when it comes to that defensive back end. They have not had answers for stopping the pass game for other people. Listen, Tennessee, I know they're losing Tyler Barron and people like that, but they still have James Pierce there, and Tennessee's able to generally create a pass rush. They're pretty good at stopping the run. It's been the passing game, not being able to prevent people from just ripping them down the field in the past. In Josh Heupel's first 3 seasons, that has prevented them from being an elite defense. They've been a good defense at times, but they have not been an elite defense because they've been so poor on the back end. Guys, make sure to give us your thoughts, comment, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Remember, we're presented by Bet Online. Thank you so much for tuning in for this video on the 3 biggest questions facing Tennessee football heading into the offseason here, and then, of course, into the 2024 season. We'll have many, many more videos coming up for you as the offseason rolls on and as we go through bowl games and all that kind of stuff. Predictions coming your way for each one of the bowl games and, of course, the playoff games and all that kind of stuff soon. So, like I said, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and we'll catch you guys next time to talk more SEC football right here on Southeastern 14.